What's up, guys? My name is Froshi, a professional coach for Wildcard in the NAL, and today we're going to discuss some tips and tricks on how to play Buck. Let's get straight into it. So first, let's discuss some things about his loadout. Now, with Buck's loadout, we've got two options for the primary weapon. We have the CA SFW and the Cameras. Now, I would probably go with the automatic rifle here in the CA SFW. For the main reason that it is an automatic rifle, it fits his kit a lot better, it fits Buck's playstyle a lot better, and it's also a really good automatic rifle. And in comparison with the DMR here, this DMR is okay, but I wouldn't really classify it as one of the top tier DMRs like the Mark 13 or the 417. Now, it is good, but I do think the CA is a little better. The only problem I would see with the CA is it doesn't have the option for a vertical grip. So if you're on console, you're on controller, you might feel some of that kick. If that's the case, maybe try out the DMR, but I would really just try and get good with the CA SFW. I know back when I was on console, it was like a flex if you could control a Buck's assault rifle. It was like crazy. Now, for the attachments for Buck's assault rifle, he does have the 1.5 scope available, which is the best scope in the game, at least considered by most people, including myself. But at the end of the day, scope is preference. So if you find that the 1.5 just isn't for you, then there's no issue with going with the 1x scope. But really trying to get the 1.5x scope because it is so good. Now, you should probably pass on the laser here, especially because you're going to be using that underbarrel attachment a lot. And I would go with flash hider here. I think it's the best for his recoil pattern. But of course, by all means, test these out if you want. I would just really avoid extended barrel or suppressor. You're definitely going to want muzzle breaker, compensator, or flash hider. I do think flash hider is the best, but again, it really is preference, to be honest. What I find good, a lot of people might not find good. But this is what I see a lot of pros using. This is what I use. Now, for the secondary, he does have a Gaunt 6 available or the Mark 19 millimeter. The Mark 19 millimeter is an okay pistol. It doesn't hurt crazy hard, or hit crazy hard, sorry. Now, it just sort of depends. I think if you can go with the pistol, like say you're in a 5-stack and you've got enough destruction already, you've got nades, you've got ash, you've got sledge, whatever it may be, then go with the pistol. If you know you're not going to need to clear anything, the pistol's convenient in case you need it. Now, a lot of time in solo queue, I just pick the Gaunt 6. And a lot of time in competitive play, you'll see the Gaunt 6 taken because it's just versatile. It makes him a lot more useful in different situations, which is why I like Buck a lot. Not just for competitive play, but for solo queue, because he has a lot of options for how you want to play him, a lot of viable ways. He's very self-sufficient in that way. So it really just depends on your situation. Again, when I'm solo queuing, or even when I'm in a stack, I usually go with the Gaunt 6 unless I know for sure I'm not going to need the pistol. The skeleton key is obviously just the skeleton key. There's nothing really else there. And then for the secondary gadget, we have the hard breach charge and the stun grenade. Again, just like the Gaunt 6, it's going to sort of depend on what you want to bring, on what your team needs, and what you're doing. Again, if I know, especially when I'm solo queuing, if I know I'm going to run into like a hatch or a wall, I want breached. So like if I'm on Clubhouse and I want to make sure I can get the con single breached, I'll do this. Or if I'm on coastline, I want to get the VIP wall breached, I'll get this. Or not, sorry, I'll get the hard breach charge. I keep saying this, and I'm hovered over the flash grenade. But if I know I'm not going to need the hard breach charge, or I'm in a stack, or I'm with a couple friends, and they have Habana and someone else with secondary hard breaches, then I do think the flashes are better. The flashes are probably overall the best option unless you know you're going to need the hard breach charge. You'd rather not need flashes. You'd rather have flashes and not use them than have hard breach charges and not use them and then be kind of left in the dust. Because the flashes, I feel like you're always going to find a use for, even if you don't necessarily think ahead with it. So I would just think ahead, and if you think you're going to need the hard breach charges, use them. If you don't think you're going to need them, just go with the default flashes. All right, we're going to move on to some basic explanation on his gadget and some tips. See you there. So let's do a basic rundown of Buck's gadget before we get into some more advanced tips. So essentially, for those who don't know, he's got an underbarrel breaching shotgun. And essentially what this does is this is a proper breaching tool. It's not like just any other shotgun in the game where you can make rotate holes with it and like decent holes with it. This is going to make really large holes, and it can be used as a very good breaching tool. So let me show you, right? A lot of the time you're going to be get close up to a wall at the hip, right? And boom, boom, and you're going to get a hole right away. And that's one way you can use it, and that's probably the most basic way we can use it, right? But something to keep in mind, right, is if we're at a distance and we want to still make a breaching hole, we can actually aim in, and what that's going to do is it's going to make the spread a lot tighter, but it's going to make the range longer. So, like, let's show you here. Boom, I'm able to make a much smaller hole, and I'm pretty far away. If you see, I'm not that close, and I'm still able to make a nice breachable hole where I can peek through. Now, just for example's sake, right, if I go, let's actually get a little closer. I think I backed up. For example's sake, let's go from the hip from that same distance. It's not going to make nearly as good of a hole, right? You can't really do much with that hole. It's a lot wider. It's a lot sloppier. So you kind of see what I'm talking about, right? When we aim it, it really tightens that spread, which is very like common video gamey thing to do, right? Another thing I like about Buck a lot is you can get your gun up really quickly after you breach a wall. So now we're kind of getting to the tips here, right? So if I'm peeking, if I'm in red here, right, or just any wall for that matter, right, and I want to just make a hole and peek up really fast, we can see this, right? So I can get my breaching tool out, and just like that, I'm already shooting. I'm already at my rifle, right? That's something you can't do with any other operator in the game, right? Let's show you again, right? Boom, and I'm already shooting. So that's really, really useful to get your gun up that quickly when taking gunfights. Now, another sort of example here, so we sort of understand how his gadget works, is something that Buck can do that no real other operator can do, at least to this efficiency, is he can buck under a sight, right? A lot of time with Sledge, right, you're bucking the floor. You can't really throw the hammer up, can you? Right? The only real breacher or operator that can really do this is like Ash and Sophia, but they only get 2 charges and they're not really that useful for it. Buck can really go to town on soft floor and create pressure vertically, and you can use this to your advantage a lot. You see him used on a lot of maps for this reason. It's really his main purpose, if I'm being real with you, right? A lot of the time, if you want to go from above, you're going to bring Sledge, or you're going to bring Ram, or something to that matter. Buck here is really, really useful for getting under sights. So this is sort of the basic mechanics of his gadget. We're going to get into one more advanced tip, and then we're going to get into some clips, so stay tuned. Tip I really wanted to show you guys before we got into some Pro League clips is I want to show you how we can breach above 2 different floors to really create some good pressure and save ourselves the danger of C4s. So here I'm in Logi on Clubhouse. I'm over the kitchen on Clubhouse, and as you know, a lot of you would know, what is under kitchen is the armory site. So if I'm attacking basement as a Buck, my job is like, we know, get pressure on the defense and make them move out of the site. So maybe my team can walk in through dirt, can walk in through blue, and move people out of that back armory power spot. Now you'd be like, okay, well, Froshi, you are 2 floors above it. How are you going to do anything? You're on the 3rd floor. The site's in the basement. How are you meant to do anything? Now, we start off by just breaching the kitchen site or kitchen room, right? And we see the floor that is now the ceiling of armory is exposed. And if I aim in and crouch, right, I'm able to make holes under the armory site. I'm able to make holes and create pressure for the people playing armory, right? You see this. And I'm doing this all while being safe from C4s. No one can kill me with the C4. No one can do anything about this. No one can stop me, right? If I was Sledge on this wall, I got to get a little more, that's a bit out of an angle. If I'm Sledge trying to do the same thing, right, I have to get into kitchen and walk into a minefield pretty much, right? This, I'm safe from C4s and I'm able to create pressure really quickly, and I'm chilling, right? That's all that it takes. Or even, you know, if I want to try and clear something for my teammate here on the stairs, I can do that. I can see, okay, is there anyone on the stairs, right? And I can do that. So please understand, right? It's not just one-dimensional with Buck. You can get really creative with how we use him. We're going to look at a couple examples in the next part of the video, so stay tuned. So again, to our first clip here, as we see Pasha on Buck, he's going to show us how quickly we can get our gun up with Buck. And just like that, his gun is up. You see, opens the breach and his gun is up. And something he does here that I like a lot, a bit of more of an advanced thing here, is he opens the breach at an angle. So when he starts aiming in, he's actually doing it kind of in one sweeping motion. He starts this sort of walk as he has his breaching tool out. He shoots the breaching tool. As he's walking to the left, he's aiming in. And by the time he's centered with the angle that is an open hole now, his gun is up. So we see here, breach, and then he moves into getting his gun up, and it's really cool. And that's another way we can use Buck. On to the next clip. So the next clip here, again, same team. And we see here, Buck is on the window with his teammate walking down red. They're attacking mining. This is another example of how we can support our teammates in a creative way here. It's not always just vertical with Buck. He's going off to an adjacent wall here, and he's able to make a breach for his team. We'll see he's still going at it. If you look at his outline here, he's about to keep going, right? He's keeping going, and we can even see as he crosses this window, this hole is getting bigger, and we'll see as Liquefact walks up, it's actually pretty much the whole wall is gone. Now, VirtusPro do lose this round, but this just sort of serves an example of how we can use Buck in a creative way to create pressure while we're clearing a site or clearing a roam and to help our teammates. So remember to communicate with your team and see where defenders may be and try and create pressure on them. That's sort of the whole thing with Buck, create movement and pressure. On to the next and last clip. So we got another quick one here. We got Alamau on the Buck again against BDS again. This is very fast, but I was able to pause it at the right time. They're clearing a roam for wine, and this is another example again on the creativity Buck allows you to make in terms of how you can make holes and pressure on defenders. And we see here it was very, very fast. But you see, for those of you who have played Chalet before, you know that there's bar and games, and then there's this stock area that is sort of in between them. It's the connecting area, and a lot of people like to roam and rat in that area, especially if a team is defending dining or a team's defending really master, any of the site other than the actual game set itself. A lot of people like to rat there. So as an example, Alamau is just clearing out the site and checking for rats, or clearing out the roam, sorry, and checking for rats. And he's able to do it very quickly. He creates the vertical pressure, and right away he's able to make a hole. He kind of leaves it. I think it's just false pressure in this clip, or he reacts that quickly to no one being there. But again, another really good example of how we can use Buck. If there's a soft wall under a soft floor that you're bucking, you might be able to actually buck through that wall and get a kill or just clear out a roamer. So that's going to do it all for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned a thing or two. And if you did, if you could leave a like and subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. Have a good one, guys.